The Closing Shift is a horror game where you work at Starbucks and you're trying to go through normal life, like having a shitty boss and weird customers, but you slowly find out that someone is stalking you, and it's perfect. This game is what I call the peak of the horror game genre. It doesn't have that much competition anyways, like sure you have your Freddy's and your Ban, but out of all the horror games, this one scared me the most while playing. I made a video recently about the worst puppet combo game, and one of the biggest points of why Night at the Gates of Hell is a bad horror game is because the atmosphere sucks. For a horror game, the thing that should be on the top of the priority list is making the atmosphere terrifying to play. If all else fails and your character and story suck, at least make me feel tense when I'm going down a dark path. I believe this is the main problem with the majority of the indie horror games that are released, but a good atmosphere will make the player terrified if someone is behind a corner. A good example of this is Nun Massacre. The game establishes the nun as a terrifying opponent using some key factors. The boarding school, while being massive in size, is full of dark corridors and dangerous obstacles. The game makes the player feel restricted when trying to find a way out, even though the school was pretty big. Another thing is the nun is extremely fast. If she sees you, she won't stop chasing you for a while and is almost faster than the player. It's also extremely fair, if not buggy sometimes. Sometimes you can be really close to her, but she won't do anything until you're basically up in her face. You can hide under the beds, but she can catch you, but still gives you time to run when she finds you. The school is extremely dark, and without the flashlight it's almost unplayable. And the biggest factor is how urgent it feels to run away from her. Not only is the chase music extremely loud and intense, the game has the admittedly annoying feature of having no save feature, so if you die you have to restart. These things make Nun Massacre a horrifying experience to play, and could make any horror game work with this method, but horror games now just seem to forget that. Since FNAF, mascot horror has been the model for any indie horror game to become big despite the game being boring dog shit. Many other games ruin the key factor of which horror games thrive on and turns them into boring cash grabs. However, the studio I'll be talking about today has none of those issues and actually improves on the standards of horror games. The studio in which is Chilla's Art. Some people might confuse them with Puppet Combo as the same company, and I would see why. They both have similar art styles and they both release bangers. However, the similarities of both end after that. Chilla's Art takes a few steps back in regards to its gameplay and mainly focuses on the atmosphere and story, while Puppet Combo tries to put two and two together, but mainly the atmosphere and gameplay is what shines out. It's like two sides of the same coin. In a Chilla's Art game, you're not going to be running for your life with ear-splitting noises, but more trying to figure out a huge story or escape demons. Chilla's usually focuses more on the paranormal side of horror, and usually those don't work in generic games, but it works well here because the creators use it as a foundation and use it subtly. However, my favorite Chilla's Art game isn't anything like that. It's not a demon killing your boss or an existential crisis metaphor on a train. It's about a girl wanting to work at Starbucks while trying to survive a creepy stalker, and it's horrifying. A weird tradition that Chilla's Art's games start off with is the character walking to work. It's weird, but I love it. When you walk outside on the darkest night you'll ever see, you pick up a random phone that's ringing, and then you find this random guy crouching and active with his phone, and then he steals it. Alright, give me it. The fuck, man, that's not yours. You're gonna do anything else? Back to the car. We arrive at their Chilla's Coffee, which is basically Starbucks. After we get inside, the boss gives us a lecture about being late and tells us the instructions of the game and the recipes. We go to the register and there's a guy instantly being paranoid about being here. It's a very sad shame that literally no one gives a fuck. It is time to cook. The next customer introduces the threat of stalker cases rising near the character, and then she also insults us in the same breath. Lady, what the hey, how you about to insult me about a stalker case? Come back, bruh. Bro, fuck that. I'ma spit all in your tea, bruh. Some shitty you lurking, you working, I'm working, spitting on your underring. Customers are a group of boys who look like they came out of a band concert and order a lot of food. Now I'm out here sweating my ass off making this for them, so in the meantime I'll talk about the mechanics. The coffee shop is where you're going to be doing most of the time, and while it doesn't make for the most exciting and fun gameplay in a horror game, it's not bad either, combined with the chill music that makes the player feel very relaxed. Chilla's Art builds tension up very slowly, so having this as a starter isn't bad. A build up in a story is excellent in any story really because the payoff can be very satisfying when given.
Holy mother of God!
You can deliver genuine fear and be scary if you present the player with a calm environment that lowers the player's guard. Bye boys, please don't go back here. Oh, okay, he just faced the fucking wall. Alright, I work minimum wage. But damn! Next customer is a private detective who offers his help if a stalker case ever happens to the player because the police won't do anything, which is in line with the message of this game, which we will get into later. Then you sweep the floor with the nastiest messes I've ever seen in a coffee shop, and then the power goes out. It's the usual trope in movies for the power to go out, but nothing happens to the player. We go on the back and turn the lights back on. All we have is spilled milk, which wasn't there before, and a door that wasn't open before. We then wake up to start the process all over again. Go outside, go to the car, and go to work, walk into work, and having to hear another lecture. My mom, alright man, you know, dick. The next customer comes in and orders 4 drinks. While I'm working overtime for this with no raise, there's a creepy guy who just stands outside the shop until he leaves. Both characters acknowledge that he was there because he wasn't trying to hide it. Then he has the audacity to come in and order drinks just like he wasn't drooling outside 5 seconds ago. We give him his drink and he finishes them in 3 seconds. By the time he finishes, another customer comes in and tries to hit on us. It fails and the dickhead leaves his trash on the table. While we clean it up, we look outside to see a van that was staring at us before it leaves. And we pick up a picture of us that the stalker took outside. The next day we walk in our car and drive off, unknowingly that the stalker was watching us from a distance. She gets there on time and asks the boss that she's worried about being stalked, and he just laughs it off. I'll talk about this later, but for now we have to make more coffees for another group of people. When we give them their coffee, another person arrives, but you can still hear the conversation in the background talking about someone on the bus that they were suspicious of. They also talk about a guy outside that scared them, but won't call the police because he hasn't done anything. While this conversation was happening, another customer couldn't afford to pay for the drink, so the guy behind him offered to pay for him. He accepts and gets the drink. We clean the tables and look on the monitor to see a man standing outside. We stupidly go outside to find a note that he left talking about how the girl made him feel. We end the day with the stalker's perspective, showing that he's becoming more obsessed. The next day, the stalker progresses on us even more by sending a note to our doorstep and breaking our car down, forcing her to take the bus. And the walk to the bus ride is the atmosphere I was talking about. We know the stalker knows where we live now, and we have to walk a long dark path to get to the bus stop. This is tense gameplay without having the need to add anything special to it like chase music or a jump scare. Just the thought of being watched is more than enough. We get on a bus and the bystander looks like he's looking at you, but he's actually looking at your stalker, which is sitting behind you and watching you as the bus leaves. Back on the coffee grind, you finally use the drive-thru window and make someone's order. The next customer orders a coffee while feeling bad as we have the closing shift, and she gives the character a good luck charm, which is apparently common in Japan. The next customer is an idol who offers us a job, but we decline. Then we have, welcome to the store. How am I? Oh, get out. Get out. Sir. 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 Sir, this is the daycare. Sir. Sir. Then there's a dream sequence. Regardless if it's a dream or not, this part was chilling to play through as we had to go places while in this dark room. The music and lighting makes this terrifying as you get captured, but she wakes up as you were asleep. Before the day ends, you see your stalker looking at you through the drive-thru. Yeah, that's the usual. You get ready and you leave the apartment. As you go down the steps, you hear faint footsteps behind you, indicating that he's following you. You get in your car and head to Starbucks. The detective from earlier comes in as he called him off screen, and then he searches around the place to make sure it's secure. 2 customers come in and explain confusion when talking about a man that was taking pictures outside. The next few customers tells us that someone is outside and is walking on the roof. We grab a ladder and go on top of the roof to discover a hatch. She finds out the stalker was living in the store while she was working there the whole time, and now he's gone. She rushes to close the store and the man finally reveals himself. Now there's 3 endings, but I'll discuss the one I got before I talk about the other 2. We go on the roof to see the detective's dead body and the stalker below us. We then home alone him using the heaviest brick alive and it knocks him to the floor. We go to the police and when they arrive, the man has left, seemingly alive. We go back home to hear our phone is somehow outside, so we take it back. We then see the stalker is in our closet and then he kills us. The other ending is us getting killed if we just walked out the front door, and if we escape through the vent, we go in the car to only discover that he was in the back seat the whole time and kills her. That's it. That's the game. This game uses the story to tackle a heavy topic about stalking and how people experience it. It comments on the people that laugh it off and doesn't care, the police that won't help you because the stalker hasn't done anything, and the ending is sad with no good endings for the player, as this is the sad reality for many stalker stories. The way Chilla's art manages to capture that feeling of being watched and the sense of dread is really impressive. The way the game progresses is also interesting because it starts off as a chill game about making coffee, but he soon starts to advance on you slowly, by having milk thrown around the place to seeing pictures of yourself, all the way to him finally revealing himself. The way it flips between the stalker's perspective and the main characters is great to show tension and to show that he's always watching you. Despite us not seeing him until the bus stop, the knowledge that someone was always watching us made simple things like walking to a bus stop terrifying. Many people's reviews and comments on this game are calling it very accurate to how if it was to be stalked. And if a game accurately depicts that feeling, you know it deserves a gold star. Despite this game being scary, it excels that of a normal horror game by having a message of really driving it home. This is mainly a psychological horror game. Sure, there's jump scares hidden around, but I think they're done really well because the tension is done really well in this game. Trying to live your life knowing that a stalker can attack you at any given moment is just terrifying to me. And yeah, that's why the scariest horror game is where you work at a coffee shop. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit the red thingy. I am very close to 500. I mean very, very close. And I'll post more content like this because the last one blew up and it's very fun to make. My work here is done, and I'll see you later.